players. Alright, that was fun. And that killed my voice, too. And there's tears in my eyes from that fun cough. Anyway, what's up? This is Phreak. This is an audio commentary for WCReplays.com. As you can tell by the players, this is 4K Grubby, and he is against Alt's Ducky. And it's a Lost Temple, and I'm telling you everything you guys already know if you have eyes, but too bad. I like killing time. Or something. Anyway, so 15-second mark will 1x speed from Grubby's point of view. Keep the Fog of War on. Yeah, you should have a little check mark thing on it, on the little box. Yeah, put it on 4K Grubby's point of view. And you see his orc on the left side of the Lost Temple, etc., etc. 15 seconds, 1x speed. I've said this before, but whatever. And it'll be orc versus fiends. Now, a little bit of intro into the match, just to get sort of a feel for the mindset. Grubby's played game 1. By the way, it's out of LAN, so neither player lags, and you're going to see how amazing people can micro when there's no lag. It gets pretty intense, just what people can do with ranged units and coil and whatnot. So he's played game 1 and he lost it to mass fiends, and he's most likely expecting fiends again. He really screwed over game 1 by harassing too hard, losing both his heroes like around the same time, both at level 1, and really just got mauled like crazy. And so he knows he has to do something slightly different. He got owned by an Rubian Tower, but the first map was on Twisted Meadows cross positions, so he knows even far away his harass isn't too effective, at least so far from what he's seen. So he's probably gonna change that around, probably do something different. And he knows that he's going Fiends with the Death Knight, and it's sort of that's his mindset right now. So let's go ahead and get this unpaused. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, unpause. So we've got Grubby, and he's doing a standard build order of Altar Burrow. You notice his build right here blocks off that burrow, so it's going to be hard to reach. And if the ghouls ever want to come in, it's really close to the gold mining peasants, or sorry, peons, I should say, which makes it easy to get in there and start throwing spears at people. So he's getting a fast barracks build, pretty much the fastest barracks you can get without getting a late altar. As you get, altar, burrow, barracks, then you put another one on gold, you put them on wood, and then you want to select your peasants and return to wood so that you get 40 wood at once, so that you go down to 40 wood. So after you've chopped a total of 30 down, because you're at 10 right now, as you can see, after you get 30 back, you just count the chops if nothing else. This guy will return some, and so that'll be 10. So you can count the chops right here anyway. So you want to get to 40 wood, return that all, and then build an orc burrow as soon as you can, because if you build it late, you're going to have to wait for your second grunt. Now, alternatively, you can get 5 on gold and then build a barracks, and you won't have that trouble with getting the 40 wood, but it's still something to think about if you want to get that. So here you see him doing it there. Not perfectly timed. He could have done it about 2 seconds faster, but not a huge deal, but it's still there, It's still a bit of a deal. And so now he's starting up that grunt. It's all good. Now, I think I mentioned this in Commentary 1 for WCR, but I'm going to mention it again. When it's a map like Lost Temple, and you see that the gold mine's really close to the Great Hall because it's a diagonal, it's really close. When you've got 4 guys on it, I'm holding up the number 4 to myself for some reason on my left hand, but whatever. When you've got under 5 guys, and it's a close position like this, and you've got a little bit of delay in your build order, you're waiting for the next peasant to come out or whatever. Select them all, hold shift and keep dragging the box around, and then keep spamming E, because they will come back and return at normal speed, which will give you which will give you a little bit of an edge. It'll give you maybe 20 EXP overall or something. Still pretty nice. So you see right now Grubby's sending out a scouting peon so that he knows where his opponent is, what he's doing, as he's not gonna be Farsi or harassing, he doesn't get any free scouting that way. Now you notice how he splits up his wolves so that one of them's taking the range guys, one of them's taking the melee dude. That way his wolves live as long as they can and maximize their damage. You notice right here this one's about to eat it, but I mean, that one's tank 125 damage. That would have made the other one die faster, if you know what I'm saying. You want to spread out the damage as much as you can between your summons. You don't want your grunts or anything to take damage. For fairly obvious reasons, but So focusing the very weak Shadow Priest first, as they have the least hit points. the least effective hit points. Even though grunts will deal half again as much damage to the berserkers, the priest thing dies faster, and since it will heal as long as it lives, it's really the best idea to kill that first. Always do that first, no matter what kind of units you have, especially if you have like piercers, obviously, because they'll get full damage. Even with melee guys, go ahead and focus the healer first. Trust me on this. So far, he hits 2, which is good for Grubby, of course. Fairly obvious reasons, I should say. Because he's got Chain Lightning. He gets a pretty good item. He gets some hit points, some mana, and a little bit of armor, which is all good. It's probably one of the best items you can get, I feel. Of course, you can get Boots of Speed at the drop, currently in 114. Of course, 115 is going to change that, but whatever. Still one of the best items you can get. Sends the wolf off at relatively high hit points because if he sends it off at low hit points, it's going to be really easy to be picked off by like a single fiend. However, he resummons the wolves anyway, so it really doesn't, so he doesn't get much scouting at it. But he sees that his opponent has to be at the 3 o'clock position because he scouted towards the bottom, and he didn't see any blight, so he can't be there. That's something to think about, is that you can just look for the blight, if nothing else. You don't even have to go all the way into the base. Also, if you're scouting for position, let's say you're random, and you're trying to find the position of the undead, what you want to do is actually find the blight and then get out, so that he doesn't see that you've scouted him, so he doesn't know what race you are. It's pretty nice that way. You just see the blight, say, okay, he's here, and then you don't actually go into vision of all the buildings and whatnot. It's pretty smart. So you see right here, Grubby is just kind of trying to focus on the DK a little bit. Loses the wolf, unfortunately. Not good, but, saves all the grunts. They've healed a little bit up at the fountain. Pretty good for them. He's going to go try to creep now because he feels he's safe. As Ducky would never turn around and start attacking him again, so here's a creep jack, and he's going to lose a grunt or 2. So he's like, oh crap. So he's going to take a lot of hits right there. I think the creep actually stole that kill, which is definitely good news for Grubby. However, he's focusing that other grunt right there. He's pretty low. He's down about a 3rd hit points. He's getting focused some more, but he's going to get out just barely, I think. Oh, no, he doesn't get followed. Okay. So, Grubby's trying to focus on the fiend. Gets away at 35 hit points. He realizes he doesn't really have much of a chance of beating Ducky right here. But he sees, a free creep. He's going to see that fiend. Fiend takes a coil, but he's still going to try to focus something down because he does have the damage type advantage, and he has 1 base armor, so his grunts have a lot of hit points. But, even so, it'll be tough because he's got Unholy Orb, he's got coil, he's even got a Fountain of Health thing right there. It's the 20 hit point fiend, takes a coil, and doesn't die, which sucks for obvious reasons. Alright, so grunts are still healing up at the fountain, which is good. More fiends are still very low. He's going to try to get this one again. But, of course, the magical coil comes in and saves the fiend once again. So watch this. No, you don't get to kill. So, he's used 3 coils, and he's lost 1 grunt. So, not a great trade for Grubby. The fiends are pretty low overall. It also gave him time to tech to tier 2 and get his Shadow Hunter. Still, Grubby, I feel, kind of lost that, because, for 225 mana, which regenerates anyway, he lost a grunt. And I don't think Ducky got the experience for it, but still, not great. Because, that's 200 gold down the drain, and sure, he got, a couple of creeps. He's almost level 3, which is great. But I'm just saying, in terms of money, Grubby's now at a slight disadvantage. It's not huge, but it's still there. So anyway, he's got the Shadow Hunter. Now, the reason Shadow Hunter is good against Orc, actually good against Orc, also good against Undead especially, is because Hex, when you Hex a Fiend or a Ghoul, or technically any Undead unit that's not a hero, it can't be coiled. And since it turns into a critter, it can't run away, and it automatically gets medium armor, so grunts kill it very, very easily. On top of moving slowly and having medium armor, grunts just own it, in general, pretty fast. So it gets level 3 Farseer. Shadowhunter's leveling up, which is good for him. Now he sees that Ducky's creeping right here, so he's going to try to get in there and try to focus something. Now he hexes the Death Knight because he's really low. He's going to try to chase that down. He eats the little health thingy, and he's already used 1 charge of the Mana Stealing Wand. So here we go. Finally hexes a Fiend. He's going to get a free kill right here. So he didn't really have to Chain Lightning it, but whatever. Just kind of burnt some mana off. But he gets another Hex. He's going to try to focus down this other Fiend. So far he's overall traded 1 grunt for now 2 Fiends. So now he's back into the advantage. However, he doesn't have hardly any more mana for Hex. Also, we made him eat the Healthstone. So the middle creeping from the Death Knight all the items just got washed away, essentially, because he had to heal himself, and he used half of the mana sealing wand. He didn't even use it on an orc hero, so, you know, he didn't even get the advantage in terms of that. And he just lost 2 fiends. So Grubby's pulled an advantage back into this game. So now he's winning again. You know, if you really want to punch numbers, he's winning right now. And now he's also taking to tier 3 and getting up the Spirit Lodge upgrade for the Witch Doctors. So they're going to be at adept training, and he's going to get some stun wards, which is cool. Now, I believe he just sent in a wolf to scout out what the undead had at his base. Sees a tier 2, sees the statue producer building. So he knows he's going to see Fiend statues, DK Lich, the usual. And of course sees the Lich, and he's like, hey, you need to die. So Ducky gets a Mana Stone, and he says, I'm going to TP out, because that's the smart thing to do. Because otherwise he's going to lose a lot of stuff. So he just, you know, gets back, doesn't lose anything. And now Grubby gets some free creeping. Now you can imagine Ducky's going to turn around and try to creepjack him. Because he's right there, you know, and if he gets him before he finishes creeping, well, it's going to be nice. So, you know, Grunt micros back because it was taking some damage. Dome of Intelligence should go on the Farseer, because he uses a lot of mana, and the +2 damage is useful. Now he sees that he's fighting him right here, so he's going to sort of... You know, he doesn't want to have to burn a TP, so he uses some healing, and he's going to grab his Scroll of Protection, takes that, and says, let's go. So that one Grunt is getting pretty low, though, so he's going to have to use his healing scroll, kind of preemptively. Gets focused and does die, but, you know, saves him a little bit of time. And he sees a Fiend sticking out, takes a coil, unfortunately, so Grubby's not in a good spot. However, he sees a Fiend sticking out right there, going to get a free focus, and TP's out, and that Grunt just barely doesn't die. So now let's look back into the money game, and let's see what's happened. So, both players use a TP. Now, Grubby also bought 2 scrolls, that cost a lot of money, 250 gold and 175. Overall, that cost 425 gold. Now, he traded a Grunt for a Fiend, which is only a 15 gold advantage, so actually, overall, Grubby got a disadvantage in terms of money. He got an advantage in terms of creeping, but, you know, in terms of money, Ducky came out ahead of that because he reverse creepjacked, and Grubby was stuck right there. And with, you know, the fast coils and the Fiend micro, and the low unit count by Grubby, you know, he got to push him off. Now, that's okay for Grubby overall because he's been taking to tier 3, and now he's getting large amounts of headhunters and witch doctors with upgrades, and he just got himself an expansion. So now he's pumping out of that new Great Hall, a couple of peons, 1 right now, but it will be more. So now Grubby says, okay, well, I have an expansion going up. Ducky probably doesn't. There's a very high probability that Ducky has not made an expansion, just by the fact that to constantly produce fiends takes a lot of money. Just having to use a TP takes money, if he rebought one, which he probably did. So, you know, there's a low probability of actually having an expansion for Ducky. So Grubby's like, okay, let's go creep some more. And so that's exactly what he does. Sends off some wolves. You always want the wolves to tank for pretty obvious reasons, because they're free. I mean, mana doesn't exactly cost a whole lot. A clarity is 70 gold versus like a full grunt, which costs 200 and stuff. So you want wolves to tank anyway, since also mana regenerates on its own. He has sentry wards up, which is a great idea. You want to use sentry wards as soon as you can, and really everywhere you can. Mana regenerates, as I said, so getting up those spells a little higher is always a good idea. So gets some more hit points on his Shadow Hunter with a Tome of Strength. And now he sees the Death Knight coming in, Stun Trap goes off, puts up a Healing Ward really quickly, and he's doing okay so far. You know, the HH gets back just in time to not die, and now he's going to focus hard on those Fiends. Of course, the Fiend gets back because it's, you know, 0 lag micro. But, you know, he's just pulling back into Introduce Healing Ward and advancing with the rest of them. Uses the Protection Scroll. It's a really good item. It's somewhat overrated, somewhat underrated. Obviously, the extra roughly 10% damage reduction is good. But for 175 gold, you could have just gotten an actual armor upgrade. Costs less, actually works for the entire game. So you could have seen right here that he could have just actually gotten the actual unit armor upgrade from his War Mill, saved more money, and he wouldn't have had to buy 2 Scrolls of Protection. So, I mean, to think that people say, you know, oh my god, upgrades suck, except they buy Scrolls of Protection all the time, that seems really odd to me, because upgrades, I think, are somewhat underrated. They're not, you know, definite StarCraft upgrades where you can see that, you know, a first attack upgrade Zealot kills kills Zerglings in 2 hits as opposed to 3, but units have a lot of hit points. Adding 3 average damage to that takes off about 4 hits, which can be a big deal. It does matter, especially when you're going against heroes, when the only armor they can get is actual persistent items. Persistent items, and so when you get that extra bit of damage, that's damage that he can't really heal easily. So now Ducky sees that he's got 2 Spirit Lodges, and he's really assuming that there's an expansion up, because no one really gets 2 Spirit Lodges, massing casters and only 1 barracks, because there's no way you can really support that. Now he now has a Shaman out, and he's getting the upgrade for him. So he's getting Dual Master Casters with a lot of Grunts and Berserkers. Now, that works because the spell spam is going to be too much for the Fiends. It's essentially tanking, in a way, because the Fiends are going to have to focus the stun wards to make them, not own them. Notice another, quick micro coil right there. Saves the day. But, the Fiends are going to have to micro to focus down the stun wards, otherwise they'll get stunned. And so that's a little bit of sort of 200 medium armor tanking against the Fiends, in a way. And, it's not a ton, but, it's still there. And also, Bloodlust with those Berserkers is going to be a big deal as well, because it's Bloodlust and Bloodlust owns. I mean, it's as simple as that, kind of. Because he's got a lot of high damage units, and if he goes range versus range, he needs to have the better damage output. Because Fiends, right now, they have more damage than Berserkers. They attack faster, they deal more damage, they cost more, for good reason, but I mean, that's what that is. Now, he doesn't have enough mana for a Purge, unfortunately, and that Shaman's not going to come out of the Spirit Lodge in time, so he doesn't get another free kill. But now he's got a Torn Chieftain out for Stomp, because Stomp's a good spell. It's stunning, and that kills that advantage that Ducky was having by, microing back a 10 hit point Fiend, coiling it, and now it's in the back lines and invincible. So by being able to Stomp and Purge, he's able to kill that advantage and stop the unit and continue to focus it, pretty much kill it. Also, Bloodlust is an invaluable spell with heroes and Grunts and Berserkers overall. And then you just add on the stun wards and the healing wards, it's pretty nice. So he's got a pretty good unit combo right here. He's researching Shaman Master Training now. Now he's getting a Watchtower and a Burrow. The reason for the Burrow is to protect his peons. Because if, a bunch of Fiends come in and start focusing them, well, he's going to have to get some means of protecting them, because they don't exactly have a lot of hit points. So they're all very low right now, like a level 2 Nova could kill half of them in one shot. So, he has the Burrow so he can pull them in, and he has a little bit extra damage that way. The Watchtower is kind of for obvious reasons. It's a tower, and you use them to protect expansions. So, he's focusing down the Ogre Lord. He's putting down a bunch of, a bunch more Sentry Wards. He puts down a Stasis Trap in case he gets creep jacked. It'll give him a little bit of advantage if the army comes in. And sure enough, here comes Ducky. And so, bam. Dual nuke, and down it goes. Eats a ton of experience on the Torn Chieftain, gets up to level 2, gets Endurance Aura, and so now it's time to fight. So Stun War goes off, gets a little bit of stunning. Immediately uses healing, because he knows he's going to get nuked from 500 hit points down to 0. So he's in decent shape now. Continues hexing that Lich, no great reason, but whatever. Destroyers are now out to eat Bloodlust and Stun Traps. So he's got Berserkers to kill them. It's a bit of a preemptive counter and just a counter to Fiends in general. It's a preemptive counter to the Destroyers, as they're probably assuming he's probably assuming that Ducky would get Destroyers against his Mass Casters, and so he got Berserkers, right away, just to be able to kill them. Also, just, Berserkers are actually pretty good against Fiends overall. They're not great, but they're pretty good. They're pretty cheap to produce, and although Nova and Coil will own them pretty badly, otherwise it's not so bad. So, the Crypt Lord's tanking very nicely for him. Continues to eat bunches of coils while the rest of the army continues to focus. Right now, Ducky's running out of mana. He's only got 2 coils left, now 1 coil. And he gets a stun. He's going to continue focusing the Crypt Lord, trying to just force coils out of him. Since he only has 2 armor, he's a pretty easy focus target. Now right here, Grubby makes a mistake, because if he had clicked the Death Knight, he would have seen that he has no mana, and that he could have pushed and won right here. Because a Death Knight with no mana is useless. Because, I mean, sure, he can swing a sword and deal 49 average damage, or 44 average damage, at average speed, fast speed, he's got the Gloves of Haste, and tank for, a couple thousand hit points. That's all he's got. If he delays, he's going to be able to use that replenishment potion and use statues and replenish his mana and be back up to the actual effective Death Knight that we all know and hate, or love if you play Undead. There, I protected you from that cough. Don't you love me now? So, purges the Crypt Lord, try to get some kills. Unfortunately, I think the Death Knight has some mana. Sure enough, he does. And the Crypt Lord will not die. And down goes another Berserker. Fun, fun, fun. So Impale goes off, stuns about 4 guys. Stonewar goes off. You know, he's trying to stomp and focus whatever he can. Uses Purge. And look at this. This is why he gets Shamans. This is the 90. This is 90% of the reason he gets Shaman. Look at this. He purges and gets free kills. 1, 2, and he's going for a 3rd. However, he does not get it. He still gets 2 free kills, which you know, Ducky had gotten just before with the nuking. So he's back on par. Probably ahead in money now because Fiends cost more than Zerkers, but whatever. There's another one for you. Now you check his hero levels. He's 4.5, just barely 4, and 2.5. So he's like, all right, I'm in pretty good shape. You know, my heroes are pretty healed. Shadowhunter is close to getting another healing wave. He's also got another Hex. So now he's like, he has to just kind of reposition. He's got a lot of magic damage, which is kind of dumb, but you know, he's got enough to deal some damage because he's got heroes. He's got normal damage from the Farseer. He's got some healing and Hex from the Shadowhunter. He's got decent offensive potential, not great, but Bloodlust kind of makes up for that anyway. So even if you don't do a lot of damage, well, Bloodlust in Berserker mode, it makes up for it. So he finally has an armor upgrade. He has 2 attack upgrades. Now check out the damage numbers: 28 to 43, 25 to 37. You know, both have 2 attack upgrades. Fiends have more. Fiends with 1 attack upgrade is about the same as Berserkers with 2 attack upgrades. It's really close to the same damage. Berserkers attacks more slowly though, but they cost less. So, you know, it's not bad. It's not a bad matchup. You could do okay. They have less range though, which kind of hurts them. Even with level 1 endurance, they attack it slow. But whatever. So now Grubby's like, alright, I just killed his expansion. You know, I just killed his 3rd hero. Stun Trap goes off. Look at this Froststorm. Let's go. Uses Berserk and focuses it like crazy. And that dies in about 2.5 seconds. And now he's going to focus some Fiends out, and GG. And GG. Alrighty. So, Grubby's now won game 2. And now an overview of the match. Notice how the unit score and hero score is about the same number. Just an odd little coincidence there. Anywho, now an overview of the match. Grubby, you know, starts off a little weak. He loses a Grunt, which is bad. Obvious reasons. I use that phrase a lot, as you can tell. But did come back with a pretty strong showing, killing 2 Fiends pretty soon after, once the Shadowhunter came out. The one thing you want to do with Orc is as soon as your Shadowhunter comes out, go attack, because you're going to get some free kills. I will guarantee you get some free kills. If his Death Knight's in a bad spot, then you're going to get a Hex kill on his Death Knight, or at least force a TP. But if he's outside of his base, Hex a Fiend and focus it with everything you have, you're going to get a kill. I'll almost guarantee you it. Because he can't coil it, he can't run it away, not with level 1 Unholy. He's not going to be level 4 by the time you're tier 2 and you have a Shadowhunter out. It's going to be very easy to kill some 550 hit point critters. It really will be. And with Grunts, they can tank long enough to be able to kill stuff. Don't worry about it, you should be fine. Especially with Wolves and Chain Lightning. You're going to pull advantage. You're going to pull an advantage from that. You know, like the previous commentary about, you know, essential units, or whatever the phrase I used, whatever lame phrase I coined. You know, that essential upgrade or essential unit or key unit, I think it was. Yeah, key upgrades, key units. The key hero right there is you get the Shadowhunter and bam, you've got Hex, and bam, you're going to get some kills. And you take that, you push it. You don't want to push it too hard. You don't want to really go into his base because the slowing and the blight and the extra rolls are going to hurt you badly. So don't push it, but I mean, you know, push up to his base, get something like 1, 2, 3 kills, and you'll be in good shape. But from there, you know, then you go back to creeping, and you really want to use like a wolf to check for a creep jack. Every time you start creeping, once you're like level 3 or 4 and the armies start getting pretty big size and you're creeping like orange creeps, you know, some of the wolves, let one tank, send one back so you can check for a creep jack, because that's going to save you so much. You notice the fight at the Goblin Laboratory in the top left corner of the map. You know, Grubby had a Sentry Ward down and a Stun Trap, and he pretty much got to force Ducky off just by being prepared. He got to finish the creep camp, turn around, and sure, he lost his on-curve reincarnation on the Shadow Hunter for getting mass nuked, but he got to force him off because he was prepared. He had a stun trap down, and he got to turn around and say, "Go away, die," essentially. So this will be Phreak signing out in 3, 2, 1.